International Master William Paschall. We'll be playing A+3 quote-unquote classical chess against viewers. That's you guys, with no exceptions. You can also challenge me to chess 960. I don't want to play too many chess 960s, but if maybe one or two players want to play 960 instead of normal chess, that's totally cool. It's really hot here. It's like 24 degrees this week. It's almost feeling like summer. Here is Budapest, Hungary. I don't know where you guys are from. Anybody new to the chat, feel free to just tell us, who you are, where you're from. We welcome everybody here, playing, just watching, contributing to the conversation. Anyway, last night we had a simul. Most Sundays I do a simul here on lichess. Yesterday we had a 25 board simul. But I got really, really deeply into concentration, and then really brutal time pressure, and I was joking now in the chat, I started giving out draws in better positions. Against World Loser, he offered a draw when I was in time pressure, and there was no actual material advantage for me, so I was sold on taking a draw because I had just 2 minutes to like his half an hour, but I should have played on. Anyway, I'm lamenting all these draws yesterday. Anyway, we're going to be streaming today and tomorrow, and then I'm going away for 9 days to the Zalakaros Open, a very strong tournament here in Hungary, actually the only really strong open tournament we have yearly in Hungary. So my last 2 days of training against you guys, and we're going to be taking a break from the stream starting Wednesday. So let's get started. An A+3 game against Aldisto. We've got 2 chess 960 challenges, so nobody else needs to do that. Aldisto won against me in the simul yesterday, a really long game. An interesting bishop endgame, where I thought I was going to hold it with all my pawns on the wrong color. Bishop n3 pawns against bishop n3 pawns. But even with the active bad bishop, I couldn't save it. Good game, Aldisto. So guys, looks good. We've got the stream up. Audio's good. It's always a little hard doing these kind of back-to-back streams. I feel kind of tired from that. Brutal simultaneous display. Okay, Aldisto pressuring b7. I don't really have much choice, actually. This is the only move that defends b7. That's weird. I've probably never played this exact starting position. I've never seen this happen, where like the only way to protect b7 is c6. That's funny. I don't recall a starting position where there's only like one move that doesn't lose material. Probably a lot of people choose Aldisto's first move. Another logical move looks like f4, which would open up that diagonal for the bishop. Of course, it doesn't work that well with the other pieces, but he's going to need to develop this bishop. Having played g3, he's probably going to have to play f4 at some point. Only A+3. Yeah, Bulbul Hassan. Hassan, right? It's like a soft G. Bulbul Hassan, we've got your challenge. Chess 960 down there. Only A+3 casual, I should say. I should add a text here to the stream just to remind people. Alright, remembered how to spell. Oh my god. What happened? I made it too small. You can read that, right? Alright, it's a little bit small. Let's try to make it bigger. How do I make it bigger? It's too big. Oh my god. Why is it so hard to do this? Alright. That's pretty big now. It's like dominating the whole screen. He took my advice and played f4. Thinking about d5. My a7 pawn is protected. We could play a symmetrical. The helicopter. Probably the prime minister. His personal helicopter. Alright. The size was fine. So, my last 2 days to warm myself up for this tournament, it's not really the same as playing long games, but it doesn't hurt. Actually, the Simon's an interesting experience. Playing all those boards at once, I think, can be very good for my game. It sort of sharpens your mind, forces you to think and multitask. Of course, it's much different from playing a real game, where you're just concentrating on one game. I need to think faster, I need to calculate faster and in a more organized way. My time management isn't great. I recommended for one of my students recently this classic book, Think Like a Grandmaster by Alexander Kotov. But the Kotov book is kind of hard, and it's really meant for intermediate players. Teaching you how to calculate variations. I wouldn't recommend it to an absolute beginner. But I remember working on that book, and it's quite difficult. The exercises are extremely difficult. Another good book for calculation is Secrets of Chess Tactics by Mark Dvoretsky. I think that's what it was called. Okay, now this knight is sort of violating our position here. Plus he has the threat of bishop d4, which is annoying. Now I chose to play b6 instead of d6. I wonder if that was the right idea. I mean, I just don't want this coming in here. I could have played knight e6 as well. Maybe the problem there was like knight a5 felt kind of awkward. That's why I played b6. Now I remember. I can remember what I was thinking 1 minute ago. Bobo Hassan, I mean, it's okay to play bullets sometimes, but I think that's dangerous when as far as your improvement of the game goes, it's dangerous when you only play bullet or mostly play just bullet and nothing else. I think ideally you should learn to... What's going on here? I could have snapped a pawn there. Wow. I didn't even see it. This is the problem, not being like fully awake. But I could have taken this pawn on b2. And actually my queen is probably safe enough. After bishop d4, queen a3, bishop c5, queen a4. It looks a little weird, but I know a lot of grandmasters who would have taken that pawn and still would. Should I take it? I mean, I don't see my queen getting trapped here. Now, if I was a pawn up or had some other concrete advantage, then I probably wouldn't do this, because I think when you're winning or you have a material advantage that's significant, it's probably best not to take any sort of risks. I mean, this would go for other games as well, If you're in a sort of situation where you have a big concrete advantage in a one-result game like chess, it's not like poker where you can accumulate more chips or whatever. I mean, chess you can only win or lose. There's no other option. Basically, if our chances of winning are good, then we don't want to take more risks, and I think that's the case here. But until this moment when I took the pawn on b2, I didn't feel like I had an advantage, so f6, stopping knight c4, and activating one of my worst pieces. These are fianchettoed bishops, in case you didn't notice. So normally I'm not materialistic, but here, being that I don't have an advantage necessarily, I think that grabbing this pawn was a pretty reasonable thing to do. Now I'm telling you about the ambulance thing. I mean, it's something weird. It's not every day that they're doing that. It sometimes feels like it, but I'm 99% sure it was some sort of training exercise. There were just too many that one day. We missed Blue Crow yesterday. There was chaos in the chat room without a normal moderator. He's not pulling any punches, as they say. My queen feels like it's safe enough here. Where is it going ultimately, though? My last chance to retreat back here. You can go to Queen A6. I think that seems like sort of the most sensible choice. Come back in here to B7. This could make it a little bit difficult to get my king castled and my rook and bishop in the game. Plucro, thank you for moderating. He usually does a great job as our moderator here. If anybody else wants to volunteer to be, to have moderator powers, I could use a few extra regular players who could just fill in as a moderator whenever somebody's not here. Not like it's like a responsibility, but I was just thinking about this anyway. I might need a couple people to just occasionally jump into the role as moderator, once in a blue moon, so to speak. We are a little tied up at the moment. I like the way he's coordinated all of his pieces here. All right. I'm trying to coordinate. I was thinking of castling queenside. We have to rethink the situation a little bit. Now that he's castled on that side, if I castle queenside, we're in a kind of dynamic situation with kings on opposite sides. He can throw everything at me, or the other side of the coin. Yeah, now, the danger is that I'm pretty far behind development here. Apt to get smothered mated. It's a good thing this isn't Crazy House. We got to try to keep the lines closed. Blockade. It's pretty dodgy. My position, that is. Yes, I would say he has full comp, absolutely, for the sacrificed pawn. At least. I mean, maybe it's possible an engine might even say white's better here. They're pretty materialistic, but not as much as they used to be. They being computers. Right now he's ready to roll the center with like d4, d5. What an amazing transformation. An amazing transformation. Excellent coordination. And I can't really get my queen back to b7. This is going to be tough. Just have absolutely no way to use my pieces properly here. Man, this is pretty ugly. I was actually thinking about knight e6, d4, knight g7. But if he gets in d5, it's going to be very hard to stop d5. Might have to play b5, but in that case my queen gets trapped, so I can't. Or does it? Anyway, it's very bad. Like b5, knight c5, queen b6. Nasty. I guess I'll have to play d5 myself somehow. It's like the only option. Whew, this is pretty bad. There's an awful lot of space. How well coordinated he is here. So this is using our chess 960 ratings, right? Wait, he doesn't have... He does. He's 1965. He's threatening d5 here. I can play e6. That's the only way other than d5 directly myself to stop it. Physically stopping it by force. Not my kind of position. This pawn grab and run and hide mentality isn't my thing. We have to be true to our style. Black gave up the center a little too much, maybe. maybe. Almost certainly. Oh my god, it's not just the center, like... It looks like too many pawn moves. Rook e1. I'm concerned about, what am I concerned about here? I don't know. Concerned about my survival. But I didn't like 96 d5 with this bishop coming into f6 and a lot of variations. But again, there's no question that white has excellent coordination. Here now, it's looking like he's playing for queen h3. You know, that d5 does kind of kill the knight bishop a little bit. He has bishop a3 though. What are we doing? My queen has to get into the game. Wow. You know what? I honestly didn't even know I was winning a pawn there. Because calculating two moves is extremely difficult for me. Literally. This queen on b7 has a lot of sort of latent defensive value, protecting places like maybe g7 from a knight attack. A knight attack. Bishop d5. The bad bishop. He's opting not to trade anything. Okay. Safer to take toward the center here. I feel like it's a semi-Slav or something. Alright, this was lucky. I was certainly in a lot of trouble. Analysis board. Just curious, we can see how bad my disadvantage was at some point. G3, I'm surprised that's... Wow, that's weird. Check this out. Yeah, G3 is the main move, okay. And C6 is like forced. Some people play knight B6, like sacking the pawn on B7. That's weird. Just dropping pawns, that can't be a good move. What? Hold on a second here. You can castle queenside. Oh my god. I never entered my mind. Wow, that's crazy. Maybe the best move, castling queenside. It's less weakening than playing c6. Unbelievable. And look, nobody played that. Check it out, like 150 games here on lichess. Not a single person realized you could cast queenside. 2 players. I bet they were good players. Coke Sniffer and QWERTY, who were both pretty strong, 2000-ish. Amazing stuff. So anyway, his advantage didn't get to more than 1 pawn up, surprisingly. At this point where he said he had a big center, I thought I was toast, but I defended pretty well. He has compensation. Alright, man. Tough game. World loser. I was playing with some guy in a tournament here the other day. And what is this? World loser challenged me to 6+5. World loser, can you re-challenge me to 8+3, please? World loser like 6 minutes. It's probably better. We'll give him a second to re-challenge. Hopefully he realizes what's going on. I think he's watching the stream. Yeah, the 6+5 is okay for chess 960, I guess. I think he's coming. So I said tough game after the game, you know, against Aldisto, but I chose my words carefully. I remember, like, since years. Let's see if we got a re-challenge. Since years, there's always been this debate online, chess, about people who say good game, like, after the game, you know. A lot of people feel that it's, like, irritating, especially, like, patronizing after you lose or something like that. My problem with it isn't that. My problem with it is just this saying good game even when it wasn't a good game. Like, it's kind of like in like poker when you say, people just blindly say, like, sorry man, like after the game when they like win a huge pot. Like, everybody knows they're not sorry, you know. It's a little different, okay? But I'm trying to find a good analogy. But this just blindly saying good game when you don't really mean it, you know what I mean? You just say it because that's what you say by cookie cutter recipe. So I played this guy the other day, and he was like, after the game, I was so angry, I played so badly, I got lucky and won, but I was angry with myself because the game was just destroyed by terrible play. And then after the game, he was like, good game, you know? And I didn't mean to be like really rude, but I was like, look, it wasn't a good game, you know? We both played badly. Honestly, it just wasn't a good game, you know? And he was like, question mark, all hurt and stuff. But I wasn't just saying it to be a jerk, you know? I mean, let's not say good game unless it was really a good game. You could say something else, like, thank you for the game, or, you know, it was a pleasure to play with you, and whatever. But this blind good game, I was like, look, you know, we both played really badly. I had a lost position after 20 moves. How good a game could it be, you know? Okay, Muff Rancher says, good game after game equals thank you. I mean, yeah, okay, we can have a philosophical debate about it, you know. But you can simply say thank you for the game. It doesn't mean the same. Like, literally doesn't mean the same. But, okay. That's the question, you know. So, it's a question of literal meaning versus what the other person means, you know. Moral Loser played like c3 here. It looks a little slow. I agree with good sportsmanship and saying thank you for the game, but I'm just trying to say, like, blindly saying good game after every game. Maybe we should just say what we think, you know, instead of just, I don't know. But I guess there's a point to it. You know, language can... Good game becomes... It means something else, you know? It's taken on a meaning of something else. And I'm being too literal, I guess. But you've got to understand and think about it a little bit. And then I accept that answer. It wasn't like I lost the game, you know. I ended up winning. I just kind of wanted the guy to understand that it wasn't a good game, you know. I wasn't happy with the game. I had played badly. He had played badly. GG's used a lot to rub the win in. When that's when people get really angry. When you start getting that, yeah, like patronizing effect going on. Okay, so knight takes d4, the ultra safe Kramnik, like, not just Kramnik, the 2700 player who wants to take zero risk. It's just a safer move in general. I mean, if you take with the hanging pawns, it's going to be a different game. I would say that pawn takes is more aggressive. You might argue it's a better move. I think this is a fairly normal hanging pawn position. After pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. I don't know, he played c3 and c4 in 2 moves. That sort of bothered me a little bit. I just briefly mentioned that. Whoops. That's not what I meant to play. Why can't I get rid of... I just wanted to get rid of the arrow, and it like automatically made me play knight takes d4. But not a bad move, I guess. Of course we're a loser. But it's still, you know, like Paul Keres would have played pawn takes pawn. Almost 100%. Like, I can pretty much guarantee it. It's a question of hanging pawn positions and if you like to play it or not. As far as trying to create a more imbalanced position where you have chances to win, you should think about playing e takes d. But it's perfectly acceptable to play knight takes d4. It's just a lot less dynamic. Also more frustrating for me. Because I don't really have what to do now, you know. Don't have a great concept for how to really continue here. Thinking about a weird plan. Bishop c5. A little bit unnatural, maybe. But I typically have a problem in this kind of structure with no good place to put my queen. And e7 is usually the best square. As far as the idea of playing bishop c5 to give my queen a square, there are other plays, like it's a baseball game or something. There are other things I could do. I actually meant to say plans. I thought about maybe putting my queen on a8, like in a reti. I just want to get all my pieces developed here. Pretty solid for both sides. White doesn't really have an advantage. I mean, I'm not trying to tell World Loser that e takes d is a better move than bishop takes. Let me put it a different way, World Loser. Like, if I wasn't me, let's say I was somebody who was rated like 1800, and you're white in this position, I strongly recommend you play e takes d if you want to beat that 1800, because in this pawn structure, it's going to be hard to beat anybody. You know, it's very symmetrical. So in a practical game where a loser isn't playing a higher rated player, I really think he should play pawn takes pawn. I would. So it's sort of situational. You know, people that don't pay attention to situational stuff like that are ones who end up with a lot of draws against like lower rated players, for example. Anyway, I'm in a little bit of time pressure here. Let's play h6 to make sure we don't get back rank mated. It also avoids like this pawn maybe being attacked with check. So there are different philosophies, you know. Some people just play, or maybe argue that you should just play the same way against everyone. I think that ideally, if results are the question, we should change the way we play against different kind of players. Chicken fried steak sounds good, man. That's definitely a recipe that doesn't exist in Europe. I mean, you'll find some obscure restaurant, but that has American food. But it's making me hungry, man. Don't say stuff like that on the stream. Chicken fried steak. Steak fried in chicken batter or whatever. You're making me hungry. It's a southern recipe, not my native kind of food. I'm more into seafood. New England. Lived in Boston for 15 years. But I'm down with the chicken fried steak. Alright. What do we got here? We can take on c4 with the most exciting position in the world. What else can I do? I'm kind of limited as to other plans, it appears. Just looks equal to me. I'm in some time pressure, so I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Yesterday against World Loser in our simul game, I do a simul on Sundays often. Piece of sheet, it's not about a chicken man. I'm giving moves to the other player. You know, I think it's a really strange idea to play a game where you're telling the other player what you're going to play in a rated game. I mean, I'm fine with that, you know, that I play certain players, but why do I want to play handicap games? Why don't I just play like, you know, giving time odds of like 5-4 in rated games, or you know, it's the same thing basically. I don't understand this big deal about like why it has to be a rated game. Why is it so important that I like sacrifice my rating points? I don't really understand what's the difference. If you care about the game, as I do, it doesn't matter if it's rated or not rated. I play the same. I'm trying just as hard. Now, maybe you don't try as hard in these non-rated games, but I care about it just as much as if it was a rated game. And I don't really understand what the big issue is, you know? I don't really want my rating to like be 2300, you know, so people are like, well, here the lowest rated I am on lichess or something, you know, so that's useful to me. I'm not just concerned about people playing with computers. I'm giving odds basically by telling the other players what I'm thinking. You know, why not just like give out 4-2 time odds, or play like 3-5 time odds for rated games. It's the same. I mean, information is worth probably rating points. So whatever, man. I don't understand this obsession. But whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. I just still want my rating to be like 2300 to the point where it's like embarrassing. Yeah, well, everyone will just hold up, you know, their national flag and swear that they're not going to listen to the stream while they play. We'll have a little ceremony. Everyone will promise never to listen to the stream while they're playing. Anyway, it's really strange. Okay, gotta be careful here. Let's concentrate on the chess, you know? I know that's hard for some people, but that's what I prefer to do. Okay, I was a little concerned about knight to d4. And there's nothing concrete there, but it looked a little scary to me. Like his knight wandering around with more time. I think objectively, this is probably drawn. I don't drink on the stream. Maybe a beer here and there. Got a good king. It kind of compensates for my bad bishop. I guess we both have a bad bishop. We've been known to drink some brandy, actually palinka and beer, while streaming, but don't want to make a fool of myself. I play badly enough as it is. Can we, I think that there's a certain players might even play better when they're drinking to a certain extent, but not everyone. This is a draw. I think he has to play like king d2, bishop d1, followed by king c2 here. I don't think you're going to see anything a flat line here. We analyze this game. Nothing really going on. Both of us played very safely. It's funny that he played c3, you know, which is basically like a tempo loss. My position is so solid anyway that it's impossible for me to get an advantage even after he lost the tempo. So the moment of truth there, even the engine likes e takes d, world loser. It's so close though, it's like 1 cent a pawn. I thought this was the most interesting point in the game though. Definitely classic hanging pawn position. You've got to play e takes d if you want to play for a win in this position. Now it's actually getting to the point where the engine thinks you really have to play e takes d. Wow. We're going to have very low center pawn loss. The 90s with Igor Ivanov, he drank vodka from a flask every game. Well, yeah, it's kind of romantic, but also deadly. My good friend Alexander Vojkovic also drank every game. Both of them are gone. Got to be careful with that stuff, you know. It sounds, you know, kind of cool and romantic, but it's also very dangerous. So 5 center pawn loss for me and 6 center pawn loss for world loser. I missed bishop b4 here, whatever that does. All right, let's go on to Plucro. But I don't drink when I play. I had in the past sometimes, not a lot, but I'm trying to be very serious. You know, I wouldn't even drink a beer during my tournament games now. Plucro. All right, we're gonna. I think if I had been more serious toward my tournament games in the past, I might have been a GM already. But I actually regret partying too much, having too much fun when I should have been really trying to be more serious. I may appear serious to you guys, but I'm not always. I haven't always been serious. E4. The Sicilian defense. What's that? Which is what? Which is actually not true. The engine sucks. Well, we didn't play perfectly. I mean, 5 center pawn, 6 center pawn loss. You know, perfectly would be 0 center pawn loss technically. But it's a very simple game where there were no tactics, symmetrical structure, nothing really happening because world loser took back with the knight, and I also didn't try to do anything to create sort of dynamics in the position. This is kind of a typical like trade the pieces on the open file, shake hands, and make a draw kind of game. So, well, the whole idea of measuring the game in this way is debatable. The 4 pawns attack. It's not a Sicilian. I like playing with Plucro though. He's willing to do some crazy stuff. See, my last opponent, world loser, he's much more concentrated and serious. Plucro likes to experiment and do some strange stuff. World loser actually played a weird move against me yesterday though. H3 in a normal sort of Nimzo position. I thought that was interesting. Okay, guys. So we're streaming a little bit longer today, to 1 o'clock. Usually I stop after 2.5 hours. This last move, I'm playing like it's a Sicilian defense. Dude, how can I play d5? It just drops a pawn. What are you talking about? Get with the program. If you think this is normal chess, you definitely been drinking. It's just that the board isn't in focus, you know? This knight is really on b1, the rook's really over there. This knight's really on b1, this bishop's really over there. Everything's just moved by one square. That's interesting, isn't it? Like, all the pieces were just moved, like, shifted with their neighbor. The knight and rook were reversed, the queen and bishop were reversed, and the bishop and knight were reversed. Interesting pattern. Hardly seems accidental. Does waking up count as drinking? It's sort of the same effect, I think. Oftentimes, basically the same effect. I have it every morning. I don't think there's too many people play Chess 960 here on lichess. I mean, I'm in the top 50, and I'm not even 2200, and I hardly play at all. It's not the most popular variant, but I think it's the only one that's like clearly beneficial to your normal chess game. I would use it as a training tool for improving piece coordination or just general coordination skills, which is a topic that definitely needs more coverage in the chess literature. Before I was expecting that. Kind of like a wing gambit. What am I going to do with this g8 bishop? I mean, f6 just creates a massive sort of hole in my position at e6. If I can really deal with that. And then what am I going to do with the d8 bishop? So both my bishops are buried. That's the issue here at stake. b6 is hoping to recapture toward the center. It's inherently a little bit passive for me, though. Actually, my play is just generally passive. I don't mean like all the time. Although I have that fear sometimes that I'm becoming more passive in my old age. I just was talking about this particular opening. I played rather passively. But when we're afraid, it's our nature to play or to be passive in behavior. And I think that I'm afraid. It's a 960. It's a position I've never played before. I'm in an alien situation. I mean, c5 was sort of aggressive, but then my response with d6 and knight c7, it's pretty passive. Knight d7 also. But in closed positions, the pieces usually belong behind the pawn chain. You know, if I play like knight e6, my knight's just going to get hit by f5, give him a free tempo. So, if you look at closed openings like the English opening, oh man, I've got to be careful here. This is a weak point. Big pawn on g8. But if you watch me analyze, one thing you'll notice is that I'm very aware of my own position. Maybe even to the detriment of sometimes finding, not finding aggressive attacking moves. Too much prophylaxis can limit my ability to win sometimes. But in the strange situation we're in here in this chess 960, I feel like I want to err on the side of caution. Again, it would be cool to play an aggressive move like bishop f6, but I'm a little bit worried about knight to c4. And then I'd have to retreat my bishop back to e7. So we could just play bishop e7 in the first place, or maybe deal with other problems. This is the big problem. We can play it like a Nimzovich, maybe f6, bishop f7, or h6 and bishop h7, getting all the pieces in the game. There's kind of a lot of people come to the board drunk to the board. This is obviously dependent on what country you're from, but this is like, maybe it's normal in like Finland or something, but in the United States, since you're playing like 99% little kids, they're likely not to be drunk. In most cases, it's going to require your opponent to be an adult, which is probably like half of the field in some US tournaments. And one thing I've noticed, especially in the US, I do live in Hungary, but still, I mean, I've played most of my tournaments in the US. One thing I've noticed is that lately, not just in the US, like in general, I mean, go to a big chess tournament and any major chess tournament. Who has time to invest to play in a chess tournament, like a long chess tournament? Little kids and pensioners, you know? I mean, there are very few middle-aged people. Like the last time I went to a tournament, everyone was either like a kid or like a senior citizen. I mean, there was nobody, almost nobody my age, basically. Maybe you'll get some drunk pensioners. I know, like in the US, for example, not to change the subject completely, but the US Chess Federation has done just constantly tons and tons to promote chess to little kids. Which obviously I'm a chess coach. I have no problem with that. But I think they neglect adults, you know, like only promoting chess to kids has kind of hurt the US Chess Federation's, I think, membership, let's say. Alright, whatever. I forget sometimes I have to click on the rook. That's so annoying, you know? Like in normal chess you click on the square. Here I have to click on the rook. So I was just joking though. We're not going to find drunk little kids sniffing too much glue. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't play this much more solidly. I feel like I played some kind of weird... This occasionally happens to me in the Rasalimo. This looks like some kind of demented Rasalimo, where my bishop went to like g4 and then h5 and g6 and got pushed back by f5 back into h7. Or else maybe a Nimzovich defense. But it seems like we've got everything under control now. I thought we had everything under control. Maybe I got out of hand. I got out of line by playing 95. Just completely out of line. I don't know what I was thinking. Going out on a limb here. Abandoning my center. Very, very possible this move is a concrete mistake. Pawn takes pawn? Yes. Plukro in time pressure. It's nice that other people are in time pressure for a change. You guys are forcing me to play faster. Okay. Not giving me too much choice. Collector of pawns and other cool stuff. Oh no. Master has that? My tactical eye. You helped me make it look easy. It was all planned out in advance. Speaking of drinking, I was actually mentioning this to a friend of mine. Why did this come up? Something about drinking at the board. I just can't remember why it became a conversation. Thanks for the game, man. GG. Mule Skinner hasn't played in a while. High Liger Bimbom says he's middle-aged and has a job and playing tournaments. Well, yeah, I mean, technically, there's no rule against drinking at the board according, as far as I know. It's not like an important, performance enhancing drug. I told a story about in 1996 how I got drunk before a game because I thought I was going to be playing like a beginner, and then like right before the round, this was in the 1996 U.S. Class Championship, I was bored, so I started drinking in the middle of the day, and I was pretty drunk by the time the game started. But the idea was that I was playing a weak player. It was round one. I was the top half of the field, and I'd be playing a weak player. And then I get paired with like Grandmaster Sam Palatnik, and I was able to sober up a little bit before the game, but I ended up losing anyway. The funny thing about that was that I played Palatnik. I told the story last week. I played Palatnik again in the same tournament, and because I re-entered after losing to him, and ended up playing the same opening with the same color and improving and drawing. But it's funny, like in some countries, like Germany, I remember seeing people drinking beer in the tournament hall. In England, also, it's completely accepted. Like, I played in Hastings many times. I remember playing Luke McShane, and I was drinking like a pint of beer at the board when he was like a little kid. And here in the Hungarian Chess Federation, though, they're kind of militant. Remember the arbiter like forbid me to drink in the Chess Federation, but I think that's just a rule of the Hungarian Chess Federation. They wouldn't even let like me as like a visitor drink a beer watching the games. Hi Liger Bimbom, he confirms as a German that drinking is allowed. Yeah, the one time I played in Bad Visay, I remember they were drinking beer. It's totally normal. I think it's totally cool. I remember once, it's accepted in the U.S. too. Like, a lot of tournaments are held in big hotels. I mean, these are like hotels where there are bars and basically alcohol can be served in a hotel. So let's see. But I'm not gonna, tell stories about my exploits. Most of the people I know who are famous for drinking when they play chess are dead. Better to wait till after the game or after the tournament. Alexander Ivanov has this policy where he just won't drink during the tournament. He just gets really, really drunk like the day after the tournament, which I think that's a good idea. Probably at some point he realized that that's the practical approach to take. If you have to get drunk, wait until after the last round and then just have like a crazy drinking binge or something. Okay, so High Liger Bimbom is saying, what? Isn't white better? Are we talking about this game? Technically, black has a strategic advantage, better structure here. Technically, black has a bigger pawn island, which I usually argue is a pawn structure advantage. This dragon structure. White's island is a 4-pawn island and a 3-pawn island against 5 and 2. And it's hard for white to crack the structure. I mean, e5 can be played, but that gives up like his strong point in the center. The ghetto bird's coming again. He just went and played e5. Actually, Plukro. Mule Skinner just played a game. Sorry, the ghetto bird is really, really low. Mule Skinner just played a game identical to this against me the other day. Like, almost identical. But he didn't play e5 straight away, I don't think. Maybe he did. And I just forgot about it. But I'm wondering... I'm wondering if bishop d7 is even a good move or even necessary here. See, my problem is that knight f6 encourages e5. I'm not sure if that's even good for him or not. I could play knight h6. That's definitely an alternative. But anyway, you're distracting us from the real conversation here. Drinking and chess. So d takes e5. Ghetto birds. Run, run, run from the ghetto bird. It's Ice Cube. I'm old school. 90s rap. They're all excited because it's like nice weather for the first time this year. Okay, why am I panicking in this position? He can sack a pawn with some crazy stuff with like e6. That shouldn't really be a major problem. I don't really have a choice here. I mean, I think that this is practically forced. To be perfectly honest, I mean, knight h6, there just isn't another move, so I should just play it and be happy. Alright. Anyway, this important discussion about drinking at the board. Yeah. No, that was cool about Hastings. They used to have the tournament in Hastings, England on the pier, and there was a pub right outside the playing hall. And you could just go out and get pints of beer and bring it back to the board. I had a picture, like, drinking my beer at the board in Chess Chow magazine. Joel Benjamin's now defunct. Joel Benjamin and Mark Ginsburg published this really funny sort of like half serious chess magazine called Chess Chow. Anyway, that was the tournament where I tried to move against this old dude. I tried to make 2 moves in a row, and I think I was probably drinking at the time, but it didn't have anything to do with that. It's just really like a coincidence. I got bored. I was walking around and I thought he had made a move. He took like 25 minutes on one move. It was like ridiculous. And I started to convince myself that this queen that was on e7 had just moved there, you know. But anyway, I always tell that story. Let's wait, find something juicy. We got ambulances, helicopters. Mule Skinner's spending a lot of time here. Well, why should he deserve something juicy here? You know, did I do something wrong? I don't think so. You wanted ambulances, you got them. The only move I can even, like, faintly wonder about is bishop d7. I don't think this is absolutely necessary to do bishop d7. mean, you could actually play bishop g4 and just trade this useless bishop off. And I think feel perfectly good about yourself in doing that. But if you need to win with black, you're probably not going to be making that exchange. This bishop I often refer to as a problem piece. Muleskinner was 1900, now he's 2015. No, he definitely improved. I mean, I think that Muleskinner has played me like the second most after a constant change since I started my stream. And I've got a couple players now around 100 games, which is really a lot of, that's a lot of practice. But to be honest, he was scoring really well against me for a while, and I started to kind of play back against him, to kind of try extra hard because he was starting to do too well. Bishop g4 and queen b6. No, he'll play h3 after bishop g4. I think he should play h3 and just bishop takes f3. Wait a minute, there, I'm winning a pawn. Actually, that's pretty sweet. h3, bishop takes f3, knight takes f3, bishop takes b2. That doesn't lose a pawn, that wins a piece for white. Okay, never mind. Yeah, bishop g4, h3, bishop takes, knight f6, e5, pawn takes pawn. That looks equal. I don't know, man. I mean, I like lost to last time to Muleskinner with this d4, but d4, it doesn't really make sense to me, I mentioned this last time that I went on to lose against him, but closed variation of the Sicilian, I don't think that, where you're giving me the bishop pair, it necessarily makes sense to play d4. It's not bad, but okay, so he sacks a pawn. I was afraid of this initially. Now, we just have bishop takes, doesn't work. Probably I might need to play something like bishop takes e6, knight takes e6, queen takes d1, knight takes g7 check. That drops a piece for me. Never mind. Bishop takes e6, knight takes e6, and just take back. I mean, there's just nothing else to do, I guess. I have to be careful, but I think that black should be okay here. Without calculating too much. Just queen b6 check, he goes back. That is possible. And then I have e5 and he pins it. So probably not. He should have compensation for his sacrificed pawn, if there's any justice in this world. Sheppy wanted to keep the d7 bishop so I could meet with knight g5 with queen b6. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely try it. Like, taking with the pawn on e6. If I had more time, I would have considered that more strongly. I'm just so sick of this bishop. Like, it's so bad, this piece. I'm just terrified to leave it on the board. Honestly, with all those pawns on white squares, I've been burned so many times with that piece, like just losing the game. Now I'm like paranoid that I have to exchange it at every first chance I get. Okay, so queen d5 looks like it runs into rook d1. You can consider queen b6. The first line I looked at was queen b6 check and queen a6. just to not give him time. For the faint of heart, you can castle queenside. It feels a little safer to castle kingside here. At least my bishop is on a good diagonal. We obviously need to play knight f7 or knight f5. If I had more time, I would be considering more action, more aggressive modes of play. Okay, so I was talking about queen a6, but that's very, very dangerous. Queen takes b2 also kind of dangerous. You talk like Scooby-Doo. Queen c6 is interesting. Probably best. Pivotal square, not letting my pawn structure get destroyed. I was thinking queen e4 now. I was going to go there anyway, and I just was like, wait a minute, he doesn't really have a good move. Or does he? Yeah, he probably still has a move here. Should have played knight g5. He should have played knight g5 straight away. But he has improved a lot. He still has compensation based on structure. I know that I didn't play the absolute best moves, but I was trying to be practical in terms of time. So I guess we have to take now. Eliminating that dangerous piece. Oh. Good practical decision there too. Okay, so e5. Again, I'm not a materialist. Maybe I should play rook f5, but I don't think I can hold on to that pawn ultimately anyway. So, do we want to trade? Trade for the knight. The knight is a kind of dangerous piece. Maybe I should go on the 7th first. And he has knight c2. Excuse me, knight c4. Oh, I'm about to lose on time. All right. Whatever. Now I'm just a tiny bit worse. We do have a better king, though. That should count for something. All right. Let's take a look at this. Let me check the lichess player database in a minute here. I want to see if this was the exact position we had last time. I'm not that in love with d5. That's another story. You'll find some games here where Brian Smith lost an endgame against Feingold or someone in this long endgame. I'm not that convinced about this endgame. It's not a lot of fun for black after d5. So I've been trying to play this d6. We had a game with Zen Master here, another player who played knight Let's see, knight c3 against me. But d4 is kind of weird. I mean, you don't see any games with d4. 2 games here. Machea played it. Wow. Machea played d4 in 2005. That's like ancient. Ancient history. So maybe a6 is even better. Following Machea well. So knight f6. I think knight f6 was the move I played against him last time. Decided to play bishop d7. That's not even in the top. Oh no, it's number 2. Okay. Bishop d7, kind of a waiting move. Let's check in lichess. I mean, I think the endgame is a draw. Wow, this game was actually reached. Yeah, well, that is against Boggy. Whoever those guys are, reached this exact position. Sometimes a squirrel finds the nut. Alright, back to Masters. The blind squirrel, that is. I meant to say the blind squirrel. Oh, bishop d7. Alright, let's see. So e5 best move. D takes e5. Knight. Yeah, I expected knight takes e5 here. But the engine likes pawn takes too. Interesting. Where did we leave book? Okay, so Peter played knight f6. I think that's what I played against. Let me see. Did we have this game before? Let's go back to lichess. We're gonna search. Wow, a whole bunch of games. Monza versus Tal Abergel from just this year. The French Grandmaster. A whole bunch of games. That's weird. This many games were reached. But not our game. Our game was, I must have played. That's strange. How did our last game go? Anyway. Alright guys, just one more minute. I want to check this opening. And how do I change it back? Change it back to Masters. Alright. Alright, so Bartok against Peter Wells. D takes e5, F takes e5, knight h6 only move, e6 best move, and the moment of truth. So Sheppy liked pawn takes, and it's higher maintenance, but I guess if you wanted to play for a win, it's more dynamic. It's a tough call here, you know, which way to take. Looks like Sheppy and me are fighting over which is the best move here. I don't know. Bishop takes or F takes both seem playable. This is safer. Looks like best play for both sides, honestly. Queen e2. He really needs to avoid the trade of queens. And then knight f5 apparently is best. Just castle sacking the pawn back. That's pretty cool. Dynamic, you know. Just giving the pawn back. There's a lot of possibilities here. At the end of the day, Mule Skinner made one inaccuracy. I made none. I'm perfect. No. Just lucky. I made a lot of little mini inaccuracies. Queen e4 I don't know about. You know, he should have played probably knight g5 here, I thought. But it's a draw. This is a draw. Nothing to be done about it. Honestly, if I try to put a rook on the 7th, he plays knight c4. Okay, let's move on. Mastermind 14, constant change. Mora Zavich, I like that. I like to listen to Bela Bartok. The radio station or the composer? Mindful 14. Mindful. Mastermind. Wait a minute. It's Mindful Monday. You're Mastermind 14. Sorry. Alright. Blue Crow says, I saw Abergel not long ago. Well, he's one of the... few grandmasters that has an account here on lichess. My friend Julian Estrada, I mentioned him, but I'm not sure why now. They're on the same team or something. But I think that I'm not really clear where Abrigel lives. Does he live in France or does he like live in Switzerland or something? All right, castles. Let's play c4. All right. This is my tournament repertoire, my default repertoire. This ultra safe c4 knight f3 type of stuff. If I don't have time to prepare for someone, I'm going to be going to a tournament on Wednesday. Actually, it starts Thursday here at the Zalakaros Open, Southwest Hungary. Very, very strong open. I'm ranked in the middle of the field. Basically, I'm around 70 out of 136 players last time I checked. It's a Catalan mastermind. Classic Catalan. So, I have played the closed Catalan. I once lost to Carlos Matamoros with black. That was a very bad experience. Don't know why I did that. I guess there was a very, very brief period where I was trying to play the Queen's Gambit declined. I remember I lost, this was like around 1999. I lost to Matamoros with black in a Catalan. I have played white quite a bit. I mean, the nice thing about the closed Catalan, unlike the open Catalan, I mean, you keep all the pieces on the board. I think it's a good way, it's actually not a bad way of trying to play for a win as black, if you're playing like weaker players. But against stronger players, I would think that the black side of the closed Catalan is semi-torturous. There are also more aggressive ways black can play this. I mean, maybe playing an early a5. Ooh, this is probably some really old school theory here. But I think that generally speaking, the quick c5 should be a little better for white. Yeah, I don't know. Estrada mentioned something about Switzerland. But, you know, people, I can live in two different countries at the same time. I'm a dual resident of the United States and Hungary. Sounds strange, but it is possible in the modern world. Effectively, I live in the United States for 2 months out of the year, and I live in Hungary for like 10 months. Bishop takes d5, and yeah, we were talking earlier about hanging pawns, but this is a much different situation than earlier. World loser was white. He had all the pieces on the board, and in that kind of situation, you can kind of play it for a win. But I think here, Mastermind, with one set of exchanges being black, taking back with the pawn, although Karyakin might be thrilled with that, you know, bishop takes is a lower risk move. There is the possibility I can play e4, though. I mean, it's not only a possibility, it's a very important idea, and probably virtually essential if white is going to find a way to get something here. I'd be kind of surprised if this wasn't book or a position that's been played previously. E4, I just, you know, it feels kind of hollow, and I don't see any Aronian type of counterplay here for white. We got a little something. Black's queen is kind of looking typical Catalan problem. The black queen doesn't really have a good square. Like, it doesn't have e7, so he's having a little bit of issues with that. Now we go rook fd1 because I think this could be an issue. I guess rook fd1. If we need to support our e-pawn like knight f6, we have knight e5. So I'm in danger of playing a completely symmetrical pawn structure. Queen e8. This is actually fairly typical happening in the Catalan, because the queen doesn't have a lot of squares. Doesn't mean he has to play it right now. I'm just saying it's a maneuver. It happens. Queen e8 happens sometimes. Not necessarily the right move in this position. Where am I from again? It's not talking to me. Sideshow Bob. It's from The Simpsons. It's called Springfield. Knight takes d4. Home of Montgomery Burns. Alright. You don't want me doing Simpsons imitations. I'm very amateur. We're just taking back here with a dog. An old friend of mine, we used to joke, sometimes the knights look like dogs, not horses. Springfield, USA. Aronian would find a way to win this. White's a little better. I mean, you got to admit that this is kind of a problem. Maybe. I play the Queen's Indian a lot myself, and will occasionally find myself in structures like this in the Queen's Indian. Not a big fan of, I mentioned losing to Carlos Matamoros, but I'm not really, usually playing the black side of the Catalan. It's a very rare occurrence for me. So, on the white side of the Catalan, I'm more frequently encountered, but I don't really know the theory very well. Although I find the Catalan one of those openings that you can kind of intuitive player can pretty much find good moves fairly easily. Maybe that's why the Catalan's so popular at all levels. Anyway, welcome everyone to my stream. International Master William Paschall. We're streaming from Budapest, Hungary. We'll be streaming today and tomorrow, then we're off for 9 days going to a tournament. And you guys can also check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Last week I put up a tournament game I played and analyzed it on the stream on the channel. All right, man. We're just trying to do something about that loose knight on d7. I've been studying my chess tactics for the first time in years. I've been doing tactics problems, and I think it's probably necessary. It's not good that I didn't do them for a long time. So we've got knight takes e6. It looks pretty straightforward. I don't think black has any kind of tricks here. it's just a clean pawn. But it's not like there was an easy solution for Mastermind. His queen was just short of squares, and it's, again, like a very chronic problem in this opening. If you want to point the finger to anything, I mean, you could find improvements for black, I'm sure. But if we go back, he tried to play c5 very, very quickly here, you know? And I tend to think that this is probably a book position, and c5 is considered to be risky. I mean, once I had the very similar position against Dmitry Bunzman, and I've seen a lot of games. I mean, I think that Bunzman played rook c8 against me, if I'm not mistaken. And there are a lot of different possibilities. I've got to be a little bit careful here. I don't see an alternative to rook takes. Hope I didn't fall for some sort of trap. No, it's handy to have a bishop on b2. Because in the event of bishop c5, he's got some issues. It's a good try, but talk about going from the frying pan into the fire. Black has to defend here. Ancient row. Challenges are made with random color, yeah. It's A+3 classical casual. Competitive casual games, I would say. Usually if you play the black side of the closed Catalan, you're in for a kind of unpleasant experience in the early stages. But if you must play the black side of the Catalan against weaker players, I think the closed is probably better. It avoids exchanges, and myself, like personally, having to beat some weaker players, I was able to do it, but just keeping the pieces on the board. But you do have to suffer a bit in this line of defense, I think, generally speaking. Hogs on the 7th. Past the pigs. Rook on the 7th here is not only breaking through on the 7th, but he has a broken pawn structure now. The f7 pawn moved up to e6. That's a problem. We have access to like g7. That was why he had to make this exchange on c1, which he really didn't want to have to do. But he does draw my bishop away from the long diagonal, so I no longer have mating threats against g7. Rook takes c1, bishop takes. Well, bishop c5, bishop e3 is my default plan. I didn't really see anything better than that. Oh no. Okay. The exchange would leave me sort of paralyzed. I don't think that's a good option. Don't like being paralyzed. But it looks like whatever I do here, black seems to have counterplay. Queen c8's a really good move. Rook takes e7, queen takes c1 check. And maybe I should seriously take a longer look at this. Not to be afraid of ghosts. We go into that and then play bishop f1. He doesn't have any concrete tricks, and my rook's still marauding on the 7th. How does he use his white square bishop effectively in that position? It's sort of strange. He can't really do anything. There's no bishop takes e4. I don't see anything special. Almost looks like my best bet. But I don't have a great follow-up either. I guess I could trade queens with like queen e3 and go into a slightly better ending. That looks like simplest approach. Grabbing pawns. To be careful about grabbing too many pawns. Yeah, this is obviously good for me. I mean, he's really tied up here. Bishop c8 is... Maybe he just didn't have a better move. I was threatening queen c4 actually. Now queen c4 not as good. Alright, that's not really a good option. Well, queen e3, the problem is he trades rooks into bishop endgame that I might not be able to win with a double pawn extra. Okay, so queen c4, no follow-up there. No way to protect f2 very effectively. There's this hooting owl or something. Some animal is like hooting out the window. Just when I need to concentrate. Is my rook... Do I just take this pawn on a7? Seems incredibly lame. For lack of a better idea. Oh, but that lets me trade queens. Natural but bad. He had a tiny bit of compensation, but I don't think it was objectively really good for him. Now, we have a forced win. Rook a8. It's actually not a forced win, is it? Maybe it is. Bishop anywhere. Ye old bishop anywhere. Thank you for the game. I think we're going to find that this is probably all book. It almost has to be. It looks like rook d1 is more common. Slightly better than bishop b2, according to theory. Mamadjarov Vichugov 2017. It's good to be on the Mamadjarov side. Knight c3. Right, and so rook c8 is the main move, as I expected. It looks like c5 is not well received. It's playable. There's actually a really recent game. I don't know this player. Hyman. Jukic. Smakel, 1973. It's just a good line for white, I guess. It's all been played before. Ah, so d5 is some kind of secret move here, sacking a pawn. Good to know about. I played the... What did I play? Rook fd1? Yeah. So d5, Rook fd1. He took on d4. There's only one Zagorskis. Probably best not to take on d4. See, it's hard to find a place for the queen. Queen e8 has actually been played before. That's the second best move. I was talking about that. Maybe not. Now the engine changes its mind to like queen b8 or queen c8. Let's see. C takes d4, knight takes d4. So we're following this game. Black has to be very, very careful. Knee. Nay, I don't know how that's pronounced. It's old school. Grandmaster, I guess, Estonian. Queen e8 is still the best move. This just... Oh. I had knight b5 here. Knight b5 maybe just wins by force. This is also not bad. Okay, guys. A little bit of Catalan theory. Dyslexic gamer. Dyslexic gamar. Alright, Sparkle Horse versus Constant Change. Last time he was not available. Constant Change was disappointed last stream because he challenged me, and then after the stream he was like, what? Why didn't you play me? But he wasn't here, he didn't respond. Finally. Okay. Alright, English opening. Maybe next time I'll try this d5 pawn sacrifice. I don't think I'll ever get the position again in my life. There are so many possible move orders in the Catalan. You know, you could play like that opening all your life and never get a tournament game with that exact position I had. I think c5 is just a little bit too early there. b6. Speaking of early, played b6, allowing the this whatever it is opening. Okay, let's be principled. The whatever it is opening. I did this once by accident in my first tournament game. That's really funny. But it was a totally different order of moves. I think I was black. Yeah, this is my first tournament game of all time. But I was black. That's awesome. It was like d4, knight f6, c4, e6, and my opponent played knight c3. And I think I had been studying the Queen's Indian, and I didn't, you know, really understand the difference between knight c3 and knight f3. Constant Change playing my first ever tournament game here with black. Okay, now a3 would risk transposing to, I guess it would risk transposing to a Petrosian Queen's Indian. Wouldn't it? Though it might be a good version for white. I think we've got to play e4 here. We go Alekhine style. It's kind of like Gangnam style. Alright. Anyway. You can't go wrong with transposing my first ever tournament game, Constant Change. I drew. It was a 1700, and he was one of the top players in this under 1800 section I was playing in. I was really happy. It was a horrible game. I think I was up 2 pawns and agreed to a draw. I was just so nervous playing someone who was 1700 seemed really, really strong. Well, Queen e2, you know, it looks like what you call it, English defense. There's something wrong with this picture. Yeah, I just play Queen e2, and it's not an English defense. Your queen is obstructed. There's no Queen h4, and we're probably playing like a simul. It looks like an Alekhine simul game. Alekhine versus NN. 1921. Very inspirational to study the games of Alexander Alekhine. Pieces just sort of jump out to their most aggressive squares in every game, especially where he was white. His biggest fan in Hungary recently passed away. International master Lengyel Béla was just adored Alexander Alekhine. Was his whole inspiration. So now there's not really any counterplay. Like in the English defense, you have some tricks with f5, gambit lines like that, but with the knight on f6, it doesn't seem like black has any real idea here. Can't play d5. It's just a bad position for black, basically. The d6 might be the best try. At least getting some control in the center. Fortunately for you, I don't have any queen a4 check. So, I mean, this looks like something that some very overly creative player might have tried with black. Do we play e5, d5, or just pass? Castles. I'm not that in love with bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, g5, when it seems like I'm getting mixed up. If e5 right away, it's not that clear, I would say. So by default, what are we doing? We're just playing castles. Could we play something tricky like castles, e5, bishop g5? Let's take one more look at e5 and d5. If d5, he has knight e5 or even knight e7 maybe. It's just going to be like a weird Nimzo. Knight e7 right away. Now, I really thought you were going to play e5 there. Knight e7 seems more on the passive side, but I suppose it's playable. Alright, and very fast too. Should I consider like going back here to c2? Seems strange. e5. Pawn takes, knight d7. Actually looks fine for black. He wants to maneuver bishop, like he wants to maneuver knight g6 here. Maybe bishop g5. Again, h6 there. But in that case, maybe I can take and play like knight h4. We're still better. I mean, I don't know what's really going on here. Structurally, white's better. He's never played a setup like this ever against me. Totally changing his opening. Nothing even close. Queen d7, of course. But there's a problem with his bishop in this position, I would think. How is he going to deal with that bishop? Whoa, stay on page. We could even try knight d1. It's pretty bizarre. He's going to try to castle queenside. I'm not sure what to play here, but if I keep all my pieces on the queen side, prevent the double pawns, I don't know. With a limited amount of time, it's hard to decide on a plan. I didn't like pulling my knight away to try to trap his bishop in that position, though maybe now it's more interesting. Like knight b5, a6, a3, pawn takes b5. You can even play pawn takes b5. Right, I don't know. Try something creative here. I thought we'd have some attacking chances. So get him to weaken himself a little bit. a3, pawn takes b5, pawn takes b5, bishop c5. He has counterplay there. Alright. I was just kidding. I take it back. No, we got him to weaken his structure a tiny bit. Rook g8. I'm amazed by how fast he is. Seems to find strong moves almost instantly. I would be scared to play this position with black, but he does have some kind of counterplay. I don't know if it's enough. This rook could be useful. It's a lateral defender. Obviously g2 is protected. It's been a weird game though. I mean, I've never ever seen this guy play this type of opening before. He's played the old Indian oh man, knight g6 just like that. Now I have to take. It's just a kind of technical position now. c5. I don't really have any attack. He just instantly finds the answer. All right. Let's hope that we can get something going with like a4 or c6. Everything's protected. This is protected, this is protected. This. This and this are protected. We have to play g3, we'll play g3. you like knight d1, but the problem was him putting a knight on c6 and going to like d4 and undermining my control of the dark squares. We're threatening bishop takes a6, which should send some shock waves through the system. Oh, I have c6 ideas. $12 European summertime. I didn't do anything bad, but I felt like I wasted a lot of opportunities in this game, playing very hesitantly. Knight b5 and back. I mean, was it really worth it for me to lose the tempo like that? Sort of doubt it. At least this move is easy to find. Okay, now c6, bishop takes, rook c1. Or do we throw in a4 at some point? A4, B4 is the problem, and I'm about to lose on time. Oh, that move. For some reason, I didn't anticipate that. Try to keep it simple, I guess. How does he always have more time than me? No matter what the position is. He never ever uses his time. I don't know, when I have a bad position, I always need to use more time. Oh my god, I missed that. He has this defense, it's just unbelievable. Finds it with no time. Man, I guess queen b6 wasn't hard to find, huh? Damn. Finds everything. Just going to lose a winning position. How can he be so perfect? Damn. Wow. Just incredible defense. Man, how could I lose this position? Just unbelievable. Whew. It's better the whole game and I lose this crushing position. I just can't find a win. It's crazy. How did I lose this position? I don't understand. Rook d1. Everything was winning. I just missed queen b6. Queen takes b6 check. Rook c6 check. I have to play this. What's wrong with king a5? You see, this is what you don't see when you're in time pressure. Like king a5, b3. Alright, man, good defense. We'll be back with the next game, Morozevich. Queen b5 check, queen b6, queen takes b6. Yeah, that's what we're just looking at. But I really felt there should be even more. You know, I mean, all of my heavy pieces mobilized. I'm expecting more than like a winning rook ending. You know, I thought I would just be basically like checkmating him or forcing the win of heavy material there. So I like let my clock get down too low and then went into the lost rook and then rook and pawn ending. Really sad. After a good game, to lose on the clock basically. He's master strength. He must be like 2200 FIDE. I don't know what his official rating is, but he's playing at least 2200 FIDE. The opening wasn't great, but it was experimental, and I think a lot of strong players would have gotten in trouble playing that opening as well. What can you do with a bad opening? I mean, b6 playing the Queen's Indian against the Nimzo is just really, really marginal. I think I played pretty well, but I had better. Okay, so c6 in the Slav exchange. I was looking at this actually last week, and I don't normally like to play the exchange Slav, but against g6, it just doesn't feel like this bishop on g7 is very effective in this kind of structure. So this is the only variation of the exchange Slav you'll really find me playing with white. I think that the fianchetto bishop just kind of dead in this exchange Slav structure, and a lot of strong players agree. You'll find a lot of games where white plays c takes d5 on move 5. I was having a discussion with one of my students about this last week though, and trying to explain how it's probably best here to develop the bishop on e2 rather than d3, because on d3 it allows black to exchange bishops with like bishop f5 sometimes, and the other idea is to stop bishop g4 trading. Bishop for knight on f3. Well, what's amazing is also his technique at the end was very good. But it was easy to play. You know, I totally missed c5 when I first played rook c4. After c5, I'm just lost. I mean, my king is a million miles from this rook endgame where he has a passed pawn on the queen side. It's just anybody could win that position. It's extremely straightforward. I just gifted a full point. Morozevich b6. The motivation here is to try to trade your bad bishop, I think. If the price is right, we can agree to that exchange. I mean, I could play some weird moves like queen a4. I don't think it's really worth it. Also possible here is knight e5. Knight e5 is interesting. Normal outpost anyway. Trying to interfere with his idea of playing bishop a6. Typical exchange Slav motif. Knight on e5. I've never played this player. It's got a really alarmingly high bullet rating. Actually, now that I notice it. That's the opposite of most people. Like, he's 2100 in bullet, 1800 in blitz, and 1600 in classical. Most people are like 2100 in classical, 1800 in blitz, and 1600 in bullet. People like lichess because it's not making some private entities rich. That's why I play here. I just like the site too. I mean, it just seems better than chess.com. Everything about it. I never played on chess.com seriously though. I used to play on the Internet Chess Club, but I like lichess better than any of the other sites. But I also like the idea that it's not for profit, not a for-profit site. It's enough of people like making profit off of others. I mean, when I moved to Hungary, I think that was 2004. I had always played on other sites. Originally, I played on the Internet Chess server back in 1993. From 1993 until like 1995, I played on the first Internet Chess server. So I'm really old school with the Internet Chess. Yeah, ICC is the same thing as chess.com. It's about some dudes making a profit for themselves. Not interesting to me anymore. White doesn't have a whole lot here. I'm a little bit concerned that my advantage is sort of dwindling to nothingness. Rook c8 though. Rook c8 is interesting. This creates a potential for me to get some play on the white squares. I just don't know if it's enough. But we've got to try something. Once again, this guy very strange. I mean, how can you be 2100 in bullet and 1800 in blitz? He just got lucky in those 29 bullet games. Or what? Like you're like That's a lot of difference, man. It's like 300 points higher in bullet. It's not a big sample size, but still. Okay, a5 is a little bit weakening black's queen side. That's slightly benefiting me. Maybe this pawn could turn out to be a serious weakness. We're not really playing for a big advantage, you know, in this type of setup. And White's just looking for a Capablanca, like tiny edge. Interesting moment here. This is tough. Which way to take? Do I have bishop takes? G7. Knight takes c3, rook takes c3, rook takes c3, bishop takes f8. Takes on f8. Take back on c3. What am I talking about? Yeah, that makes sense, right? That does make sense, right? But again, I mean, it's not a 1600 if you're 2100 in bullet. I don't understand how that works. You'd have to be terrifyingly fast. All right. Pretty impressive so far. Do you like chess YouTubers? Well, I'm not gonna like... Actually, I hate questions when people ask me what my favorite things are. Like, I like a lot of different things. I'm not really gonna pick favorites as far as chess YouTubers. Favorite is me, because I do have a YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. I don't want to bash the people I don't like. I don't know, you know. I mean, I don't have any favorites. I don't have time to like even watch my own stream. Queen D6 stream channel, whatever. I mean, this guy's 1600 for real. He's pretty tough. Not your typical 1600. Dude, I hope you're not playing in any tournaments. I'm playing in. Alright. I don't think we have anything here. I think this is the open file. Maybe it's something, I don't know. It's not much. Could Capablanca do anything with this? Do you like burning meat over an open file? Yes. How did you not know that? Andrew Martin stopped doing YouTube videos. Can you be more specific? Abite Boulay said, you said you like old school hip hop. I said I like 90s rap. That was my exact words. Yeah, this is best. Like some of the groups I like were Ice-T. I I like other genres of music, absolutely. The Beastie Boys, A Tribe Called Quest, but I'm not like a huge fan. Queen D4. So this was the ending I was kind of aiming for, where I think we have just a little bit of an advantage, but it's not really enough to win. I think against perfect defense. E takes D4. I like I like roasting meat, caveman style. Sounds good. Bishop F3. We're gonna get him down on the 7th rank if I do that. I better be very careful here. I'm a little concerned about this actually. Maybe I have to trade rooks. Then I have almost nothing. Goodness. The problem is king f1, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, rook e4. Is that really a problem, boys and girls? Unclear. Pretty damn tough for a 1600. I'm still not winning. But I don't think that either side has made any sort of mistake here. I don't want to take with the b pawn and let my structure get totally destroyed. Yeah, I was calculating rook e4. He's got this instead. Maybe bishop f3. The problem is it blocks my f-pawn. Not sure if it really makes a difference though. I don't think I can really make progress in this game. Actually, bishop f3 is just bad. It allows bishop a6 check. This is an absolutely slightly unpleasant but drawn position for black. Yeah, 50 games. The dude has 68 blitz games. I mean, that's why I accepted his challenge. He is putting his pawns on the wrong color on g6 and f5. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to make him lose, though. This is very aggressive. Hyper aggressive to play g5 there. So he has 2 pawns on white squares that I don't have. Giving me some chances. Rook g7. A highly accurate choice. Rather than exchanging first, he threatens to penetrate with pawn takes pawn followed by rook g4. Unpleasantness. for me would ensue. I have to redeploy my bishop to a new diagonal, taking g4 under control. And then back to f3. He's like 2100, but he's losing on time. Okay, dude. Something weird about your ratings. He's 2100 in bullet, but he lost on time. Basically, both sides played a close to perfect game there. But rating here for black, a little inaccurate. If he's 1600, I'll eat my shirt. Queen takes a7. I couldn't find that, man. Too scary. Now a5. That's actually best move according to the engine. a5 or a6. a6 is more normal. That's what I would have expected. But basically, this was a good combo too. Simplifying. This should be a draw. Queen d6 is also #1 move. The engine thinks we made some small mistakes. I thought this was a practical mistake for him to play e5, giving me a little edge here. I wouldn't find queen d7. It's like a computer move. So this ending, it's a draw, but we can torture him a bit. Yeah, here I thought he made his mistake. He should really put pawns on dark squares. Probably g5 should be an idea. The engine doesn't like that. Anyway, really solid game by black. He just lost for time. I mean, I don't even think in the final position he's losing. He's just slightly worse here. This is probably a draw. Still a draw, despite having 2 pawns on the wrong color. Okay, Bulbul Hassan challenged me to chess 960. We have like 30 minutes left. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's 2100 in bullet, but he lost on time. That's pretty weird, man. What to say? So, I guess he just lets his friend play bullet and he plays classical and blitz. Not really a lot of other possibilities, other than like 2 people playing on the same account. There's pretty much no way that, I mean, a 2100 bullet player loses on time. Bishop g7. It's the dragon. We've got a problem with our other bishop though, is really not happy here. I think we're gonna have to play for f5 somehow. The Dutch. Bulbul Hassan. Did we play chess 960 before? 5-3 normal. 5-3 normal. So he's hopefully not used to chess 960. Bishop e2. I'm just thinking about which of my pieces are bad, and I could even play f5. Actually, it's not a bad move. It's a little structurally risky. Structurally risky has been called. You know, I think after b6 he wants to play bishop f3. Maybe even bishop f3 against anything. It's not a good position for the bishop there, though. Obstructed by his own pawn. I was thinking b6, but that is kind of annoying. Though maybe I could just play like e5 and block it. I think I'd rather await developments here. Knight d6. Knight d6. Which knight? if I play knight cd6 and he plays bishop f3, then what do I do next? That's the question. Maybe f5 there. And then his bishop becomes active. See, I don't like that. That doesn't make sense to me. If I force him to play bishop f3, then I don't want to open a diagonal for that bishop. Okay. On the other hand, if I play knight d6, then if I play e5 after that, there's something a little strange about my structure. So I'm spending a lot of time here very early in the game to try to sort out what my plan is in general, and I think it's not a bad policy in chess 960, especially in normal chess. Try to avoid using this much time at this early stage. Yes, in general I think that's probably good advice. Alright, I made a decision, we're going to live with it. I'm going to try to sort of block that bishop on f3 if he chooses to go that route. I mean, if he plays f3, it's a different game. This is actually, it's probably better to play f3. I've been talking about bishop f3, but it's probably just better to play f3 for white. Not have the blocked bishop. Other people may think in a much different way about chess 960 than me. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to treat the game much more tactically, looking for weird opportunities and creating like very irrational positions early on. I think it's a matter of style. You know, I have to play in a way that I can kind of comprehend. You know, now f5 will definitely be an option, I think. To undermine his center at a future date to be announced. TBA. f5 right away. There are some issues. Maybe knight f4. Not a big deal. A little bit weakening for me. We're going to go for it. Very hyper-modern style. I don't know where I'm planning on putting my king. Maybe just leave it in the center. Wasn't this Bobby Fischer's nightmare? If I saw pieces set up like this, I'd be screaming to set up the board right. I think it's a good exercise to improve your general coordination skills in normal chess. I don't think that chess 960 can hurt your game. It can only help. Whereas other variants could actually alter your style and perhaps make you play worse in normal chess. Alright, bishop f2. Looks like he's gonna castle kingside. He's all about the king's safety. I'm a little bit extended, you know. A little bit extended. I think pawn structure is tricky here. Alright, anyway. We've got to get developed. This is a risky pawn move for black in general. I decided to be pretty aggressive. I mean, it would be nice to like overrun white, but if I try to do crazy stuff like e5, e4, I create a lot of weaknesses in my position. My king is still in the center of the board, so I have to be very careful about coordinating and executing. You know, if I start to expand, there's a chance that I overextend myself. His queen has a bit of a problem in this position. How to activate that queen is not easy. This problem I've encountered myself. He can't play like a3, queen a2 because of my bishop on g8, and obviously the long diagonal is dangerous. So I just played knight f6. Well, there's this, but it's fairly easy for him to defend e2 with rook d1 or even knight b3. So you're gonna play e5. I'm keeping my options open with e5 because e5 is it's a very committal move, and there are options to just play a structure with e6 for black, where I just have this really good pawn chain, a dragon pawn formation on the other side of the board, basically. So I'm not in a rush to play e5. I decided to kind of hold off on that. The other thing is again, you know, if I play e5, I'm blocking my own bishop on g7. So I decided to keep my options open. It doesn't mean I'll never play e5 later on, but he played c3. My main concern is like my king around here. And also where to put this piece. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Bishop wanted to go to f7, but that's just inviting knight e5. So we have a little issue with that. Bishop c4 just walks into b3, but that could be kind of interesting, actually. b3, bishop a6. Redeploying. Provoking weaknesses in the opponent's camp. I don't know. This is pretty weird. I see a structure where he's starting to get a lot of pawns on dark squares. The white squares get a little bit weak. I could trade bishops. I'm very happy for this exchange. I thought that b3 was better, like carving out some squares for his queen. Although this does help him develop objectively. Maybe that's good for him too. Right about now, I guess I have to watch out for like bishop d4. My hypermodernity is in question here. Honestly, I decided to castle kingside because on the queen side he has this sort of pawn storm going on, you know, and I thought that's sort of unpleasant. So although I have less pawn cover on the king side, it doesn't seem like he's quite as well set up for an attack over there. I might be proved wrong. Pretty much the only positive thing about my game right now is that he has a lot of pawns on dark squares with a dark squared bishop, but I didn't play this very well. Not thrilled. I am not thrilled with my game. Activating the queen, Her Majesty. White's just slightly better now, though I'm still fairly solid. This central pawn, I look stupid for never playing e5, I guess, as was suggested. I'm backward along the e file. He's threatening that. All right, that's fine. We play for good knights against bad bishop. Simple positional chess. Maybe b5. He's dropping the a2 pawn. Is it intentional? Intentional sacrifice to segment the board in half, and perhaps d5. Suddenly it's very hard for me to coordinate losing that key square. Yeah. I'm a little concerned. I guess c6 is worth considering too. Running out of time. I'm not going to grab that pawn. After queen takes a2, d5, I felt that white has a lot of space and my queen is cut out of play. I don't really like a3 for white. Keeps putting all his pawns on the wrong color. I haven't been able to exploit it yet. Yes. And white's playing a really nice London system, basically. He stands better here. He's 2200. Another guy who's 2200 in bullet. That's the second one in a row. 2000 in blitz. Although the blitz is a really small sample size. Knight g3, I'm kind of happy to see that. Not a good square for that piece, but he wants to play maybe knight h5 or something. Huh. Okay, obviously knight f4, bishop h6. I don't think it was bad though. You could play like knight f4, bishop h6, maybe bishop e3. Strategically, my position is sort of questionable. I don't know much about this player. We won 2 games against him. He seems very competent and pretty fast. Now c6. One would assume c6 here. Maybe I should play a4 first. Yeah. I think a4 first. I'm about to lose on time. Fixing all the pawns. 24 seconds left. If d5, e5, we get that magic move in. And we have a c4 outpost for the knight. That's the point. So bishop c5, knight c4. I mean, I could even let him take on d6, but knight c4 looks like a strong move. Anyway. Permanent outpost. We can lock it up. Finally got our e5 in, see? I told you guys, just be patient. Still, this pawn looks a little bit suspicious for white. He's going to have b3 in some positions. We have h5. King's Indian style. Probably not the best. All right. Rook a1, a. Whoa. Oh, I just overlooked that. A little too fast for me. Bulbul Hassan. I understand how you're 2200 in bullet and 2000 in standard chess. I'm just a little too slow here. In the third hour of the stream, it looks like we had a good game, but let the flag fall. Blundering F5 at the last moment. I'm paying too much attention to playing chess here. Not enough attention to the clock, basically. All right. This guy has 94 games, so that's cool. Last game for today, guys. I was basically winning, but I got a little a little too lackadaisical with the time, and it wasn't easy. With just 4 seconds move, 3 seconds move, I had to be precise, and immediately I wasn't even watching my F5 square when he played Queen C2. Okay, he's too fast. I wouldn't want to play him in bullet chess, but bullet chess is not our goal. I had a really good position by the end, though the opening stage I don't think I played really well. X632. We played before. Was this a simul player? Oh, he's the guy in my simul. Okay. When was that game? I was white. I was white. Okay. Other game. Another simul game. Don't recall. Anyway, this is a really boring variation where they go knight c3. It can transpose to what's it called? Checkover variations if they do d4. It can also transpose to rouser type positions. d4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, and then bishop g5. Excessive use of caps. I just fell asleep on clock last game. But it wasn't an easy game. Now rook e1. This kind of system is just so irritating to play against. Extremely solid for white, but sort of unambitious. And the game is sort of deferred to the middle game. I mean, nothing can happen in the opening. There's no way anything special can be done. Second Sayu, yeah, everybody's like, I waited all day to play, and somebody's always unhappy. There's sort of no way to avoid it. I mean, there's always going to be somebody who's last in line and isn't going to get to play. Just have to suck it up and take it for the team. Hopefully it doesn't happen 2 or 3 times in a row. But I have to go. It's a long stream for me, 3 hours actually. I'm usually only streaming 2.5. So this is a weird approach. He plays knight d5 and then goes back to f4. I'm going to go... Maybe I should just castle. His pieces are sort of lurking around the center. Pretty strange style of play. He likes closed positions, obviously. I don't like bishop a4, but I do see that it's a closed position, and the bishops are not necessarily that much better than knights. They're still not worse than knights. So I'm going to take my opportunity to knock out that white squared bishop. If nothing else, my white squared bishop is a fantastic defender. Tomorrow, I had a game with a guy. Played a similar move not that long ago, I remember. Here I should probably keep the tension. Bishop c6. e5. x6 reminds me of someone else I played against not that long ago. Where is he from? There was like a Polish player, I think, from Poland, or at least had a Polish flag. It's played a game against me a little bit similar to this. And then we post the bishop on the longest diagonal, and where it's difficult to attack it. I'd much rather have your dark square bishop if you'd like to part with that one. Maybe I just made a mistake. I'm a little sleepy tactically. Honestly, the 3-hour stream, this is longer than I'm used to. I'm not going to New York. I live in Massachusetts, but I'm going back. I'm going back in the end of June, and I'll be streaming from like the 1st of July, probably. But we have time before that. That's quite a while in the future. Quite a while in the future. Maybe I should take this bishop on b3. I made a mistake. I could have played d takes, b takes c last move when I played bishop b7. And he's gonna have to play some awful move there, like bishop takes a5, not to lose a pawn. That was just being really, really careless. Knight h2. Playing for this is just strange. Strange position. Alien chess for me. c4. B takes c4. Knight takes. Well, there's different ways to skin a cat, as they say. Bulbul Hassan, I think you played well, but then you didn't play well. You became playing more for time, and your position went downhill. I think you played well in the beginning part. Then you started to make some mistakes, and I was clearly winning, but I didn't have enough time to find the moves. So it's all a matter of being practical, I guess. Maybe you're more practical than me. I used too much time trying to play the best moves, a little too much. All right, finally, we're making progress here. No mistakes or blunders. He was just slightly worse, well, significantly worse positionally by the end, before I committed suicide by hanging my f5 pawn. a6-2-3-9 plays a strange brand of closed positional chess. We get that white square bishop out, and we're clear pawn up. Bishop's on the long diagonal, so this went really downhill for white. For a while I wasn't too confident about this game, but I don't know. I mean, objectively, if we go back to this position, you know, I don't think he should even move his c-pawn, though. I guess this is a threat now. It is kind of unpleasant. Maybe he can play something like e5 instead of weakening his queen side. No inaccuracies. I didn't have time to check Bulbul Hassan's game. I thought that we both probably made some inaccuracies, especially in chess 960. Where it's all pretty strange. Yeah, okay, I'm really getting groggy because, I mean, this is just a bad move. Queen there. Bishop e3, queen takes b2, rook b1, and he's winning a piece. So queen b6 just wastes the tempo, essentially. It's not difficult to find d5 if I'm not getting a little bit loopy due to the length of stream. d5 with the ultimate pawn chain. Just that it's a pity to block my bishop on b7, but it is pretty overwhelming now. So x6 started out okay. How to criticize his play? Well, I mean, honestly, normally you would exchange on f6 here. If you're going to do this, I don't know. And actually, that looks pretty good. Because knight takes f6, queen takes f6. Yeah, knight takes f6, queen takes f6. Something like c3, threatening to trap my queen with bishop g5. And then I can play h6. It's a game. I'm not sure about h6 though. It's equal after knight takes f6. I mean, knight f4 it's a risky move, you know. Your knight's kind of awkwardly placed. It's debatable. Now our center is just brutal. e5. The ultimate pawn chain. I'm not worried about that a pawn going anywhere. f5, f4. It's just a little extreme, maybe. Why not? Am I getting carried away? Yeah, chipping away at the structure. Good call. Oh man. But I will not be deterred. An eye for an eye. Two connected pass pawns against two connected pass pawns. Here we have bishop a6 with a new diagonal. Ooh, this could get brutal. Waza, I'm closing down the stream after this game. It's 1 o'clock, we gotta go. We played his Walia. Yeah, okay, I was right. You know, I thought it was a Polish player. You are from Poland, right? I mean, you don't have to tell us. Yeah, we played long ago. Actually, I remember. Yeah, you played some weird openings. Very, very long ago. d3. You always play crazy stuff with white against the Sicilian. I think that was Walia. Getting Walia confused with Waza. Too similar. These pawns got a little out of control. Yeah, I gotta go, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. CEST. Blitz and Classical Chess. My last stream for a long time, so, well, 9 days anyway. It's not a long time in the grand scheme of things. Then again, neither is 20 years. I'm constantly reminiscing about stuff that happened 20 years ago. Like, 20 years isn't that long, let alone 9 days. So it won't be long. We'll be back in 9 days. But tomorrow we do have a stream. 10 a.m. CST. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Blue Crow, for moderating. And it's been a lot of fun, guys. We have a lucky number of viewers, 66. Maybe we'll just hold off on this for a second. You know, b4 with counterplay. I wanted to go here anyway. Oh, the sacking the exchange. Oh my gosh. We'll just play by intuition. I feel that I can sack this exchange with full confidence. The role of the rook's somewhat reduced here. And a queen trade would magnify the value of my connected pass pawns on the 6th rank, I think. If you can even get it. I'm having too much fun now. We're just having too much fun. Rolling, rolling, rolling. 3 connected pass pawns. Oh, it's just too much fun. You want to grab this piece? Grab it while the grabbing's good. Grab him by the knight. Oh no. An inconvenient place to go. An inconvenient truth. It's really sweet. Oh well. You could have played rook e3. At least it was entertaining. Alright guys, we'll be back tomorrow. It's an awesome pawn chain. Alright, more important than the exchange is the principle of 3 connected pass pawns. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. Thank you for the game, everybody that played. And again, Blue Crow, thanks for moderating. 10 a.m. tomorrow, Blitz and Classical Chess here on Lichess. International Master Bill Paschall. Check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. And you can also donate to support the stream on my YouTube channel. Please do so via PayPal. You can do so on the YouTube channel or here on Twitch. Thanks again, guys, for those of you who donated, supported the stream. And we'll be back tomorrow with one more stream before I go to tournament in Zalakarosh. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. I guess I have to. Ooh, I didn't turn off the stream. See you later, guys.